I want to welcome everybody to our last educational session, as our hackathon is now officially less than 44 hours away. Tonight, for the final one, we have Andrew London, who is going to give us a demonstration of, in particular, PTC Vuforia and doing industrial case uses of it. So with that, I will turn it over to Andrew.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew London, and I'm a senior augmented reality field engineer at PTC. We have a product called Vuforia that's a suite of AR products to solve multiple different needs in the AR industry. And I'm here today to talk about different augmented reality use cases for enterprise or industry. And so I'm going to be mainly showing two products, Vuforia Studio and Vuforia Engine, and showing some examples of things other people have built and where the value truly resides in enterprise. So with that said, I'll get you introduced to PTC, and at the end we've got some notes where you have some links where you can get some of these tools to try this stuff out on your own. So first of all, who is PTC, right? Well, we are a long-time industrial needs company. Right, we've got our PLM solution, Project Lifecycle Management, which is Windchill. We've got CAD tools, which is called Creo, used to be called Pro Engineer. We've got Industrial Internet of Things application called ThingWorks. And then we've got Vuforia, our AR suite. It's kind of the presentation layer. And it's capable of rolling all those other solutions into a presentation layer, which is a very unique position in the market. Now, one thing I wanted to show you, if you see that PTC logo in the right corner there, it's a black P and a green B, and it's the convergence of physical and digital, right? That's our whole value proposition, why we exist in the market, is to converge the physical assets you have with the digital assets you have to bring value there, right? If you've got this physical object and it's connected to the Internet of Things, then it's reporting values up. And in those AR experiences, we can read those values. So we can understand if that piece of equipment in front of us is within spec, right? If it's within envelope in terms of heat or any alarms for any reason, those can all be tapped into via AR. And on the other side as well, you can, if you've got a physical piece of equipment that's connected up to an IoT system with AR, you could have a human-computer interface. You could have buttons that tell the machine what to do without ever having to have a dashboard around. Right? It's always on you because it's on your head. And so I hope that kind of explains the value of converging these two different worlds in an industry 4.0 type use. So we focus on the physical transformation of digital and people, right? So we bring the physical person to the equipment, then we bring digital information down on top of the physical equipment as well. And that convergence really superpowers those frontline workers, right? When you're getting the information that you need at the time that you need it, and it's in a three-dimensional, it's the way we see the world, then absorption is quicker, right? People get things faster, they make fewer mistakes. All those are very value-driven things that make a big splash in it. And our CEO has the saying that augmented reality takes bits and bytes and turns it into sounds and sights. And that's almost a modem that's converting all this digital information into an easily digestible presentation. So, one of the things right now that's huge for AR is replacing traditional methods of 2D work instructions with a 3D work instruction counterpart, right? When you can walk up to the equipment, and as you walk up, you get information, videos, schematics, and location awareness, then it brings a whole new set of understanding to these work instructions. So 3D work instructions is a huge use case. Another large one is bringing in IoT data, right? Being able to, in real time, see those values, as opposed to having to pull up, 3 or 4 different systems to read these different values. You can understand the time savings. And that's the other thing is, right now, your average frontline worker integrates with 3 to 5 disparate systems at any given point in time. With something like Vuforia Studio and the native IoT integration on the back end, that frontline worker could reduce their cognitive load because they're working in one system that on its back end is integrating with all these other systems. So there's a whole strategy to maturing AR in your Industry 4.0 pursuit. And it's a crawl, walk, run strategy. You build your way to it. And so what does this look like right now? Here's one of our promotional videos showing the power of augmented reality. And so this gentleman has a HoloLens, and as he approaches the equipment with Vuforia, he's able to understand exactly what that equipment is. And this one has a human-computer interface use case being shown. So he's pressing buttons, he's ordering parts, or he's starting machine processes directly from his AR. I brought this slide in because I think it's the hero slide. If there's any slide that's going to get the most time of this presentation, it should be this slide. And I want to bring your attention to all these different use cases. And this isn't all the use cases, but these are kind of the preeminent ones that we find on a day-to-day basis that really drive value for our customers, right? So with design, you can collaborate and review and have everybody on the same page while this product is being created. In manufacturing, like we talked about, work instructions is huge. You're showing people exactly how to do it in the moment that they're doing it. So you're not relying on having to remember or recontextualize 2D schematics into a 3D world. Also performance dashboards for manufacturing, being able to look out at an entire factory floor and see all these IoT sensors popping up telling you everything's good or this guy's got a problem. Sales and marketing is huge. Vuforia Engine is kind of the preeminent solution because the rendering quality you get out of Unity. So for sales and marketing, there's no better use case than to put something on a table in front of a prospective customer. Right? Someone's interested in your product, they want to see it, understand how it works, get a better sense of it. With augmented reality, you can plop that equipment right on the table in front of them or even on the floor, right? If it's a refrigerator size thing, that even benefits more because you're not going to be sending demo units out. But you can send out a QR code and people can scan it and get a sense of that equipment. For servicing, absolutely a great use case. Like we mentioned, the fact that you can reduce errors, that you can improve first-time fix rates. Those are all huge reasons to use augmented reality and 3D work instruction for the servicing use case. Training is also a very great use case when you can X-ray vision into a piece of equipment and see all of its inner mechanisms moving. That gives you an understanding and awareness about the equipment that you could never really get from 2D paper-based work instructions. And then operation, right? Back to that human-computer interface, right? Starting equipment, stopping equipment, verifying that it's run its cycles for the day. Just anything that you would have to do with that machine, you can do through AI. Again, this is just scratching the surface to showcase what's possible. I'm sure there's a million other use cases that are going to be found over the next few years as this market matures. But these are great ones to think about right now and to get you jump started. So to deliver against some of these use cases, we've got our Vuforia suite of products, right? We're not really going to talk about Chalk or Expert Capture. Chalk is a real-time remote assistance app, so you make a call and everybody can all of a sudden annotate in the environment, so it reduces ambiguity. An Expert Capture allows you to capture the expertise of a retiring workforce, right? We've got a lot of frontline workers who might be leaving their roles, and with Expert Capture, we can have the procedure done by them with their own words and their own hands, and then we can disseminate that at will after we capture. Those two solutions are solutions, but I want to talk about the platforms because that's where you can build. And so the platforms we have are Vuforia Studio and Vuforia Engine. So the Vuforia Studio, we've taken most of the capabilities of Engine, but we've built them into a rapidly scalable, easy to author AR solution that has IoT integration natively in the back. So what do I mean by that? Well, you can bind experiences. So you can take a button and bind it to a model and make it play back the sequence. Or you can pull an information source from ThingWorks and tap it right into your AR experience. And that's all provided kind of out of the box with Vuforia Studio. You can extend it out with JavaScript and you can style it with CSS. You've got some front-end web development skills. But you can also get really far just by binding and learning how to use Studio. And so to give you a better understanding of what Studio looks like, here is the actual development environment. This is a local host Node.js process that's running locally, and it lets you edit in your browser. So in this one, here is what the editor looks like. We just drug a model in. We're going to import a model and optimize it. We're CAD agnostic, so whatever the source is, we can import it. We can also optimize it. Make it runtime efficient. As you know, CAD is very heavy, and if we're going to hit that 90 frames per second, then we need to make it light. So here's that model that we just imported. We're going to show you also, we're going to make a model target out of it so that when we see that in front of the camera, we understand what we're looking at and can start taking action. And so in this one, we're going to set our detection position. This is all done within Studio here. We click that camera button. You can see this feature line. We're telling the computer vision system here what to look for. And then here, since this is a mobile application we're building, not a 3D eyewear, we're going to have a 2D pane that we can drag a button to. So we literally just drug a button out to this 2D screen, and then we're going to make that button perform an action, right? We're going to drag from the click of it on the button to the model, and we're going to have it play back a sequence. We're going to pull some gauges in, and we're going to add, this is from ThingWorks, so we're binding IoT data to a label. And you can see the rapid authoring that's happening, right? The whole point is Studio is supposed to get you value quickly and in a scalable way. Scalability is part of that authoring effort. We're talking, hours to days, not weeks to months in terms of your development life cycles for Studio. So let's take a look at what was built right now. So in this one, we're going to use this barcode widget because that tells us what the MAC address is that we're looking for IoT use case, right? If we're just looking at the features, then we could have 3 of those pieces of equipment in front of us and we wouldn't know which one. So by scanning the barcode, we can actually tie to the specific endpoint through IoT that we want to pull down. And you can see how quickly it recognizes that outline system. We're going to bring the camera up and it immediately understands what it's looking for and it finds it. And then we can start populating IoT data on top. We can take people through work instructions on how to service the equipment, all available here because we know what we're looking for. And that was just from setting that tracking position. So we're going to take you through some servicing here. We have a puck that needs to be replaced. So let's go through that replacement. And the other thing here is the bidirectional nature means that that frontline worker can certify that they've completed this process, and that certification can go populate a database. So that we have real-time awareness of the field and the servicing happening in the field. On this, we need to replace these tandem pucks. So we're going to animate some CAD. We're going to pull this off. We're going to put it on an animated table that's not really there, but it lets our worker understand the instructions and what needs to be done to complete the procedure. Another point is leveraging the smart connected tool wrench. We could have that actually sending its values up to ThingWorks and being reported in real time. So Studio could tell the worker, we're not within our torque setting that we need to be for you to move on to the next step. So that's another huge value driver. So we'll take you through this animation. When it's complete, we'll put it back in the equipment. There's that torque range that pops up just to tell you what torque range it should be. This is for a manual torque driver. And then we put that back in the machine and we certify that the repair was done successfully. Looking at some other Studio use cases that might be prevalent, here's a pre-flight check that's on a Cirrus aircraft. And so this is using model targets, and it finds the aircraft. And then we've got a menu here where you can choose specifically a few different occlusion settings and the graphics that you want to show. And so this is a pre-flight check. This shows you how to walk around the plane and what to look for. It takes you through all these different labels. Make sure that as a pilot, you feel safe taking off in this thing and that it passed your inspection. Some control surfaces awareness here. And some highlights and callouts. Another use case is engineering, right? So this shows you the ANSY's fluid dynamics simulation running on the actual equipment in front of you, bringing your fluid dynamics into the real world. Another use case is for training, right? And this shows all these different systems that can be selected and chosen to get better awareness and understanding of how they work in the greater picture, right? So this type of awareness you just couldn't get from a textbook or from schematics. You could see it, but it wouldn't quite be the same being able to walk around it and absolutely understand what's hiding behind this body. I've got another one. This is BAE batteries. They make hybrid batteries for buses. Now these batteries have sometimes up to hundreds of filaments, and if they install them in the wrong order, not only do they have to work their way back to when they made the error, but sometimes it's scratch material, so they have to use new material. So you can imagine how costly that is. But another thing that's important about this and why I want to show it is if you want to use model tracking, model targeting, and track on a piece of equipment that's changing its state in front of you, then what you should do is create a spatial experience where we put it up off to the side. And so BAE Batteries did exactly that. With Studio, they built this application where you can see all the animations, all the information is all put up above the working surface so that they can keep their eyes on it and work through it as they're doing it. And that way, as that changes state, it doesn't matter. They still have all the contextual information they need right to the side. And so using this, they greatly reduce the amount of scrap and rework that had to be done when they're assembling these batteries. One more for the servicing lot here. This is something that was built for CAT and these, large on-site generators. This is kind of a servicing and this is servicing use case actually. And so as you go through this experience, you'll see we have a model target and we want to get that model target aligned to the equipment. There it goes. And then so we've got stay out zones, temperature readings, electricity. So you can see for training as well as servicing, this tells that frontline worker what to be aware of, what to stay away from, and have them acknowledge that they are aware of this. As we go forward, you're going to see as this converts to a servicing use case. You can see it tells the user to walk around the back. If we want to shut this off, there's the button being highlighted to shut it off. Oh, we need to toggle the breaker off. So let's see how to do that. Oh, there's the animation showing that toggle being flipped. And then you open the panel, we show that happening. And we got to verify the one phase and 120 volts. So that's taking you through some servicing right there on the equipment. The right information is popping up as we need it. And then we drive the user to that servicing use cases. Awesome. So that's Vuforia Studio. I'll have a link at the end of the presentation for you to get a trial to it. I want to talk now about Vuforia Engine, right? For the Unity developers that are out there, for the people that are familiar with Engine, it's always growing. It has new features all the time. We're at version 9.8.8 now. Our latest addition is area targets, which are pretty slick. I'll describe those here in a little bit, but all that I really need to get across right now is Vuforia Engine is all of our computer vision system distilled into an SDK so that you can bring it into Android Studio, Xcode, Unity, or even Visual Studio and build your UWP, iOS, Android applications, or in Unity, all of them, right? And leverage all the computer vision magic that makes Vuforia great and your own application. And so we're absolutely the market leaders in terms of tracking accuracy, how many people are using it. We just had our millionth developer contest. We had our million developer contest in honor of hitting 1 million registered Vuforia developers. And with one AR code base, you can kick out 2 multiple platforms. So there's lots of benefits to using this and lots of cool things you can do with it. So some of the cool things, I mean, it's all about model tracking, right? And so, well, not model tracking, it's all about tracking. And we track in a variety of ways. One is view marks and image targets. That's the kind of 2D traditional AR that people have known for a few years now. but that's where we separate, right? We've got multi-targets where you can have a box where each side of it is doing something different and is its own target. You have cylinder targets, right? That's what we built our 19 prime. Well, that's what 19 primes used engine for, was all those animated wine labels. That's Vuforia engine, and that's cylinder targets. We have object targets, so desktop, sized equipment can be scanned with an Android app and leveraged as a target. We have area targets, which are new, and they support LiDAR on the iPhone 12 and latest iPad. And you can use the area target generator app for iOS and scan a space and then pop it into Unity as an area target within minutes. And then we've got, of course, our model targets. We got standard model targets and 2 versions of advanced model targets. There's advanced targets and there's advanced 360 targets. And we'll talk about those capabilities, but they're pretty slick. Advanced model targets let you have a database of multiple predefined targets so that when you see it, it can tell which of those predefined model targets it's looking at. Advanced 360 model targets is an AI trained version of the model target that's approachable from 360 degrees. So no matter where you are around the equipment, you're going to understand it and you're going to be able to track and lock to it. Standard model targets are what have been in Vuforia since the model targets came out, and that's the defined guide view, and you can track things starting from that position. And so to show some of the cool stuff in 9.8, let's take a look at this video and we can kind of show what's going on. So of course, there's a model target generator, and this is a companion application that allows you to import your CAD. We've got a simplification tool in there now if you have a pro license, and that greatly eases model target generation because it simplifies the whole mesh. If it's too complex, it'll throw those things into it. And we've got area targets as well, which are a huge feature. Let's talk about those area targets. All right, okay, so here's the area targets overview. And we have new scanner support in it. So in addition to iOS LiDAR, we support the Navis, we support the Matterport, we support the Leica. You can see some of these systems that people are walking around with, making these area targets from. It's pretty incredible. There's the Leica laser scanner. This would be good for AEC. Here's the area target creator app for the LiDAR enabled devices for iOS. And you can just export it and then pull it in from wherever you sent it. It exports a Unity package. And then you can just bring it into Unity, and then you can use those area targets for navigational meshes. You can combine multiple area targets. A lot of museums are using this for tour guides, right? Where you have a bot and you tell it what exhibit you want to see. And they've got an area target they've already created, so they dynamically drive you to that location of the museum because they have nav meshes built on top of the area targets. Very, very cool use case. Very quick to get off the ground. If you do have a LiDAR enabled device, I recommend downloading the area target generator app, making your account, and playing with that. Some of the things that have been built with Engine are pretty cool. This is a application for Infinity. It was kind of a customer orientation application where it guides you on all the details and cool things about your new vehicle. This is built by visionaries for Infinity. There's the Lego Nexo Nights. This is really cool. You know, children engagement can be difficult, and using Engine, they've made it a game. Right? They took their current advertising series and they made it interactive, and it was a huge hit for them. And they're one of our bigger customers. They're always looking to how they can leverage Engine. They've got some cool stuff coming out now. That's they're a little. It's almost like a video solution, but check out what Lego's doing with some of their AR. And this is Coca-Cola, right? This is like a holiday experience built with Tactic. to work on their cans and bottles, right? So this is using those cylinder targets. And then, like I mentioned earlier, the 19 Crimes application, this was built with Engine, and they've been very successful. Just they use cloud recognition for this, so they could change the labels up in the cloud and leave the executable untouched and get all the changes made and uploaded it. So the last thing I had was these links here. You know, to check out Vuforia Engine further, please go to developer.vuforia.com. To get a look at the studio free trial, please go to trial.studio.vuforia.com. My email address is oalondon@gmail.com. If you need me for anything, I'm happy to support this. I'll be in and out this weekend to answer any questions and help out if anybody's trying to use Studio or Vuforia Engine. The free license does have some limits for Engine. I believe it's up to 20 model targets. So that should be more than enough for whatever you're building. Just know that if you want to, you don't have to pay for anything until you're submitting it to an app store, right? So it's free to use and develop with and test with. So I hope this brought you some greater understanding of the potential use cases for industrial augmented reality. I do believe that enterprise is kind of the first true home for augmented reality, because the price compared to the benefit is greatly different, right? Convincing a consumer to spend $1,000 or $2,000 to replace a phone with equipment that's not quite there yet, versus saving a company sometimes millions of dollars because of operational efficiency. It's just quite obvious why AR has succeeded so well in enterprise. So if you have ideas about use cases, you want to ping those off me, please send me an email. If you have questions about any of these tools, please send me an email. Thank you, Jim, for hosting this again. I think it's really cool what you're doing. And we really are all benefiting from your effort here. So I appreciate your time today, and thank you very much. I'll see you around the interwebs.
All right, thank you, Andrew. So very enjoyable presentation. And Andrew, yep, had to drop off. So, okay, I think with that, we're gonna wrap up this final session. As I said, I appreciate everybody. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. And yeah, now it's what, 21 hours to the start of our hackathon, and looking forward to a great weekend. So thank you, everyone.